5 kids vanished. No ransom notes, no footprints. Just a whisper that spread through Sakuragaoka like wildfire. A masked woman asks, "Am I pretty?" And if you answer wrong, you don't come home. This isn't a ghost story from centuries ago. It happened the summer Sho and Hana were teenagers, and what they did next might be the only reason you're hearing this tale at all. Would you know how to survive? Everyone knew something was wrong. Parents walked children to school with sharp eyes, waited outside before the last bell, and hurried them home to stay indoors. There had been only one witness, if you could call him that. One humid afternoon, the town's resident drunkard, a man who spent his days sleeping off wine under the trees, staggered up the main road babbling that he'd seen it happen. People leaned away from him as he spoke. The sour tang of alcohol clung to him like a second skin. It wasn't a woman, more like a shadow, a porcelain mask over its face. She floated above the kid and asked, "Do you think I'm pretty?" A red mist bloomed around them, clinging to the trees, to his hands. When it cleared, the boy was gone, swallowed by the night. The police sat him down and took a statement, but by the time he described the red mist, the officers were already trading knowing looks. "He's seen the bottom of too many bottles," one officer muttered as they sent him on his way. Sho and Hana had been friends since they were toddlers, though middle school had pulled them apart. Sho was all scuffed sneakers and bruised knuckles, a boy who lived on the basketball court. "If some weirdo asked me if she was pretty," he bragged, "I'd call her ugly and keep walking." Hana, usually quiet, pulled him aside. "Don't say that," she said, eyes flashing. "You don't know what you're talking about." She didn't add what everyone was thinking. Empty desks were piling up. Just yesterday, another student vanished. Her parents plastered posters everywhere. A few days later, Hana cornered Sho in the hallway between classes. "Skip the rest of the day with me," she whispered. Sho's first impulse was to laugh. Hana never even came to class late, let alone cut school. But then he saw her face. Her eyes were wide. Whatever this was, it wasn't a joke. He swallowed and nodded. They slipped out and ducked into the cool sanctuary of the town library, where Hana spread a stack of books across the table. "Kuchisake-onna," she breathed. The Slit-Mouthed Woman. She had pored over old folklore books and whispered names. The legend was ancient and every version was worse than the last. Some stories said she'd been a beautiful samurai's wife carved ear to ear by a jealous husband. Others claimed she'd been disfigured during a medical procedure or attacked by a jealous rival. Shamed and enraged, she became an onryo, a vengeful spirit, and approached people at night. "Watashi, Kirei, am I pretty?" If you said no, she killed you. If you said yes, she pulled down the mask to reveal lips slashed open to the ears and asked, "Even now?" Either way, she took your life. "There are ways to survive," she whispered. "Say she looks average, scatter hard candies at her feet, or say pomade 3 times. No one knows why, but they're the only things that work." Sho frowned. "Tell a monster she's average. That sounds like something I'd say just to annoy her." "Exactly." Hana managed a thin smile. "You annoy people all the time. Maybe this is the one time it'll save your life." Sho tried to laugh it off, but when he went home that night, he pulled his curtains tight and lay awake, hearing the cicadas and wondering how many candies fit in his pockets. The next afternoon, he and Hana met behind the shrine. She produced a crumpled paper bag filled with beko ame. He handed her a stack of pomade adverts he'd torn from an old magazine. They rehearsed what they would say if the spirit appeared. Sho practicing so-so until it sounded natural. Hana tossing candies until she could scatter them without looking. They didn't have to wait long to test their plan. Days later, Takahiro's older sister didn't come home from her part-time job. Sho's mother locked the door and forbade him from leaving. Hana's parents did the same, but the two friends could still communicate across the park, whispering into the cheap walkie-talkies they'd bought years ago. As the cicadas quieted, Sho whispered that he'd seen something outside. "Look," he said, "by the playground." Under the sickly sodium glow of the street lamp stood a figure. Long hair framed what at first looked like a pale face, until Hana realized it was a cracked porcelain mask. Two inky eye holes stared straight up at her window. Hana leaned closer to the window and saw what Sho saw. A thing in a kimono staring up at her, as if deciding whether she would be next. A surge of adrenaline flushed through Sho. He wasn't thinking about school or basketball anymore. He was thinking about the little girl who used to share her rice crackers with him on the swings. Not her, he thought. Not today. His hand tightened on the walkie-talkie. When his voice crackled over the speaker, it was thinner than usual, but steady. "I'm going out there," he said. "No one messes with our friends." "Don't," Hana hissed, but Sho was already slipping out through a hidden exit he'd used since childhood. As if sensing his intention, the masked woman turned her head toward the alley he would emerge from. Hana's heart hammered. She grabbed a handful of her mother's hard candies and crept out the back door, cold air slapping her face. Under the flickering streetlight, Sho stepped into view and froze. She was inches taller than he was. Her kimono hung as though she'd forgotten how to wear it. A porcelain mask covered her features, its surface spider-webbed with cracks. Only the eyes were open, two pits of night that seemed to swallow light. Through a fissure near the mask's jaw, Sho glimpsed something wet and dark, and his stomach turned. "Shonen," she said, her voice the sound of silk tearing. "Am I pretty?"